Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I am reviewing 100 Cupboards by Andy Wilson. And gotta say, this series has been like one of my favorite series for a while now. I just love it so much, but I'll gush about that later when I give my personal rating. So anyways, yeah, let's stop dilly-dallying and jump straight into the summary. So, non-spoiler summary first, as always. The main character is 12-year-old Henry York, and when the book begins, Henry is staying with his Uncle Frank, his Aunt Dottie, and his cousins Penelope, Henrietta, and Anastasia. They live in Henry, Kansas. Henry normally lives in Boston, but due to a complicated family matter, which I won't get into right now, he's gonna stay with his uncle and aunt for a while. And one night, when he is sleeping, he hears this strange thumping noise coming from his wall. So, just like any curious 12-year-old boy would do, Henry scrapes the plaster off his wall and finds two knobs on a cabinet underneath the plaster. And these two knobs, one has Roman numerals and the other one has like normal numbers. They're like combination locks kind of, but individually. So of course Henry is super curious and he's playing with these knobs in this cabinet. And at this point his cousin Henrietta finds out about this strange cabinet and they investigate together, and he scrapes off more plaster of the wall and finds a whole lot of cupboards and cabinets underneath. And he counts them all, and they turn out to be 99 cupboards. You're gonna ask where the 100th cupboard is that's coming later, so be patient. Strange things start happening, so things start coming through these cupboards, and Henry can even see people through some of them. Eventually, Henry and Henrietta find journals that their grandfather had written and left behind, and turns out their grandfather was the one who built these cupboards, and he left a whole lot of instructions on where they lead to and how to use them. So basically the way how it works is that you spin the two knobs to a combination that leads to a certain cupboard, and then you go to the big cupboard in their grandparents' room and you crawl through that cupboard, and the cupboard will take you to the cupboard that the combination is leading to. That makes any sense? But yeah, that's how it works. And so they have a whole lot of adventures there, meeting a lot of new people, even making some enemies, and almost dying multiple times. So one day Henrietta goes missing and he knows that she went through a cupboard, but this time she's like actually disappeared. Of course, Henry must go and save her. So they set off on this long, wild ride of lots of mythical creatures, strange worlds that they never knew existed, and a whole lot of danger. Will Henry be able to find Henrietta, and will they be able to make it out of the cupboards worlds alive? We'll have to find out. The end. Okay, moving on to the super spoiler summary. So if you don't want spoilers, head down to the description and click the timestamp below, and it'll take you forwards to back to the non-spoiler section. So yeah, go do that right now. I'm gonna spill the rest of the beans. So Henry goes to the cupboards to find Henrietta, and of course their Uncle Frank figures out that they're missing, and he goes through the cupboards after them. Meanwhile, their Aunt Dottie tells Penelope and Anastasia a story, and I'm gonna do my best to recreate that story right now. So, Dottie tells Penelope and Anastasia, apparently there was this boy, and he lived in another world, and he found Aunt Dottie's dad, followed her dad back into their world, otherwise known as Earth. So eventually Aunt Dottie's dad closed up the cupboards. The boy couldn't go back, and so the boy stayed in Kansas. And guess what he did? Well, he couldn't go back, so he married Dottie, and guess what? That boy was Frank. And so yeah, Frank is from another world. He's not from Earth. Anyway, set story time aside, as Frank is going to go look for Henry and Henrietta, an evil witch comes through the cupboards, and it's gonna sound really strange, but that's what happened. So, this evil witch, her name is Nimiane, and she's not a nice character, as evil witches aren't generally nice characters. She comes through and knocks out Frank, and Dottie, Penelope, and Anastasia lock themselves in the room with their parents. And as Nimiane is trying to get them out, this neighboring kid, his name is Zeke Johnson, comes into the house and sees this weird looking old lady with like a mangy cat, and this cat will like come into play into the story later on. And the witch is like trying to explain to Zeke why she needs him to open the door, the locked door or something, in like a way that doesn't make her seem like an evil witch, if that makes any sense. She's talking to Zeke, and at that moment, Henry and Henrietta come back through the cupboards. Of course, they know that the witch is evil. And so Zeke bashes Nimiane over the head with a baseball bat. And so she falls unconscious, but not before she, like, fights with Henry, and then, like, Henry gets some of her blood on his jaw, which, like, burns him in any way. So that might seem like a super random detail, but it's important for later on in the story, so I'm mentioning it right now. So he gets some witch blood on his jaw, it burns him, and they shove Nimiane back through the cupboards into a random cupboard. Like, they spin the knobs randomly and then, like, shove her into the cupboard. And then that's pretty much the end. We finish off with Henry finding a Ragant, the guy that made all the noise in the beginning and started this entire mess. The Ragant is kind of like a mini rhinoceros with wings. That's how the book describes the Ragant as. And the Ragant apparently was hiding in the cupboard with the knobs and started the entire thing. So you can blame the Ragant. And Frank says that in his world, Ragants were created to, or like made to find somebody. And they won't stop until they found that somebody. And so apparently somebody's looking for Henry because somebody sent a Ragant after him. Yeah, that's it. And we also find out that Henry is also not from this world. His parents are not his real parents. And apparently he's come from a world behind one of the cupboards. So yeah, we kind of leave off with that. And then of course, like an ominous epilogue with Nimiane regaining her power in her world. That's the end, guys. So yeah, there actually wasn't like too long of a summary. It was like definitely shorter than I expected it to take me. So yeah, the book isn't that long. So moving on to the morals now. Welcome back, non-spoiler people. Hope you had a few good seconds. I mean that timestamp and clicking it. Moving on to the worldview. So as far as I know, N.D. Wilson is a Christian author, but 100 Cupboards doesn't really carry a dominant Christian worldview. In fact, it's actually based more on like, I don't know, it's more on like the magical fantasy side. It contains quite a few mentions of magic, such as like magic cupboards, an evil witch who uses some freaky magic. Yeah, magic worlds, just a whole lot of magic. There's no really other prominent worldview in here. So yeah, that's basically it for the worldviews. Okay, moving on to foul language. So there are no bad words in here. There's some minor rudeness, people yelling at other people to be quiet, or etc. Yeah, there's like no bad language in here. Moving on to violence. There's also not a whole lot of violence in here. There was one scene where a character got his hand cut off because of the cupboard. Yeah, it's kind of complicated, but yeah, that's basically what happened. There weren't any like details though. It was described like having like a clean cut, so like it was literally like just a hand. There wasn't really a whole lot of violence in here. Yeah, a character bashed another character over the head with a baseball bat. There's really not that much violence at all. Okay, moving on to romance. Yeah, there's basically like zero romance in here again. Henry's cousin, Penny or Penelope, is like, she has a crush on this character. She gets teased like twice or 3 times for it, but that's like it. There's like nothing else, just that. So it was a pretty clean book overall in terms of morals. Moving on to my rating recommended age level. So I'm gonna rate this book 5 stars. I enjoyed it tremendously. 100 Cupboards is like one of my favorite fantasy series, and I'll explain why. Okay, so this is gonna sound really weird. One of the reasons that I love 100 Cupboards so much, practically all of N.D. Wilson's writing, is that somehow the way that he just writes it makes it seem like a movie, but like it's a movie where it's really like dreamy and ethereal. It's like a movie where there are like way too many summer warm filters. I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense at all. But yeah, it's just, if I believed in magic, which like I don't. Yeah, it just makes the book seem like super magical. That's the only way I can think of to describe it. I don't think that's the best way to describe it, but yeah, just the way it's written makes it seem magical, and like the characters and the world building and everything, yeah, magical, I don't know. Like, it makes it seem that like there really could be 100 cupboards behind the plaster on your walls, and you really could go through them into other worlds, and you really could have an evil witch come into your house. And anyways, let's just pretend I didn't say that. Really loved 100 Cupboards overall. I love the entire series, but yeah, you'll hear more gushing from me about that in my next videos. of Dandelion's Fire and the Chestnut King, which are the next two books in the series, and The Door Before, which is the prequel. So yeah, anyways, bottom line is I just loved 100 Cupboards. It was a great book. And yeah, moving on to my recommended age level. So I'm going to say 11 to 12 on this one. The book says, like, on the back it says 8 to 12. Let me see if you can see that. I don't know if it's focused. Okay, yeah, anyways, it says 8 to 12. And I don't think the 12 is the best age range for it. I mean, I think, yeah, more like 11 to 12 plus. Because I feel like while there's nothing super evil or scary in here, I think there's some elements that younger children, especially like 8-year-olds, could get scared of. I mean, I don't think it's a huge deal. Like, there's nothing to freak out about if like a 9-year-old reads this book. Yeah, it's nothing huge to freak out about, but just exercise some caution, parents, with your younger children. But yeah, anyways, I personally love this book, and yeah, it's definitely not just for 8 to 12-year-olds, guys. Like, you should read it, come on. Anyways, bottom line is, overall, 100 Cupboards is a great book. I really loved it, and you should go read it. So yeah, that's the end. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give a thumbs up down below, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys next week. We're reviewing the second book in the series, Dandelion Fire. So yeah, I can't wait to gush more about this awesome series. So anyways, yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Bye!